Welcome back, 5th grade. I am now going to solve the word problems on page 128 with you. Number 12 says, Kaylee mixes the amounts of paint shown. She uses 3/4 of the paint for an art project. How much paint does she use in all? Well, she has red paint and blue paint. So first we have to find out how much paint she had when she mixes the amounts. So I have to add 3/4 plus 1/6. That is my first step. So I will add 3/4 plus 1/6. So my least common denominator of 4 and 6 is 12. So I need to make both of these 12ths. And remember that 4 times 3 is 12, so 3 times 3 is 9. 6 times 2 is 12, so 1 times 2 is 2. So when I add these two fractions, I get 11/12. So now I need to look back at my problem, and I know that she uses 3/4 of that paint for an art project. So she uses 3/4 of the 11/12. So now I'm going to multiply 11/12 times 3/4. So if I multiply 3 times 11, I get 33, and 12 times 4, I get 48. So she uses 33/48 of the paint. But that's not simplest form. So I'm going to put those two, the numerator and the denominator. I'm going to divide both of those by 3, because that is my greatest common factor. So 33 divided by 3 is 11, and 48 divided by 3 is 16. So that is how much of the paint she uses. She uses 11/16 of a gallon of paint for her art project. Now we'll move on to number 13. Number 13 says that James mixes 1/2 pound of blueberries and 3/8 pound of raspberries for a dessert. The dessert will be split into 7 equal servings. What is the total weight of the berries in each serving? Show your work. If the dessert is going to be split into 7 equal servings, that means that each serving will be 1/7 of the total. So the first thing we have to do is add the amount of blueberries and raspberries. So first we will start by adding 1/2 plus 3/8. Okay, so I have to find a common denominator, which is 8. So 1/2 equals 4/8, and 3/8 already has the denominator of 8, so 7/8. So the total weight will be 7/8 of a pound. But then he's going to break that up into 7 servings. So each serving will be 1/7. 1/7 of 7/8 of a pound. And this is important to remember. The word of in math means multiply. Okay, so whenever you see of, so it's of something, okay, you're going to multiply. So we're going to take 7/8 times 1/7. So 7 times 1 is 7. 8 times 7 equals 56. That's not simplest form. I can divide numerator and denominator by 7. So 7 divided by 7 is 1. 56 divided by 7 is 8. So each serving will be 1/8 of a pound. And now on to write about it on number 14. Number 14 tells us that the product of 5/1 times 1/8 times 1/10 is equal to 1/8 times 1/2. It says use properties to describe why this is so. So we're going to start by just writing out the original equation, which is 5/1 times 1/8 times 1/10. Okay. The first property we're going to use is the commutative property, which means we're going to change the order of the factors. So I'm going to change this to 5/1 times 1/10 times 1/8. So I use the commutative property to change my order. Now I'm going to use the associative property, and I'm going to group these two fractions. So now if I multiply 5 times 1 is 5, and 1 times 10 is 10. So that's 5/10 times 1/8. And I know that 5/10 is the same thing as 1/2 in simplest form. So now I have 1/2 times 1/8, which is what the original problem said, that 5/1 times 1/8 times 1/10 is equal to 1/8 times 1/2. So I used the commutative property to change the order, and then I used the associative property to group 5/1 times 1/10, which is 5/10 or 1/2 times 1/8.